Again, everybody, welcome into another edition of Inside Cowboy Basketball with head coach Dave Simmons. I'm your host, Ron Hayes. And Coach, we're here talking about a victory for the Cowboys. The Cowboys went over to Beaumont on Saturday night. Fans were going to talk about that game in depth, but it had to be a nice feeling to come back victorious, Coach. Hi again, everybody. Welcome into another edition of Inside Cowboy Basketball with head coach Dave Simmons. I'm your host, Ron Hayes. Coach, we're here talking about a victory for the Cowboys. The Cowboys went over to Beaumont on Saturday night. Fans were going to talk about that game in depth, but it had to be a nice feeling to come back victorious, Coach.
Well, that's probably one of the most sweetest 50-mile rides I had.
Fields is our student athlete guest on the night show.
But it was great.
We're also going to talk about upcoming games, which Coach will feature Southeastern Louisiana coming in here hot off their win over Stephen F. And also your what do we call it?
And we're going to talk about that game, as I mentioned before, on the night show. We're going to have Adrien Fields is our student athlete guest on the night show. We're also going to talk about upcoming games, which Coach will feature Southeastern Louisiana coming in here hot off their win over Stephen F. And also your what do we call it? The bracket buster, I think is the name coming up. Yeah, so we're going to have two good ball games to talk about for this coming week, but we're still real thankful about the win over Lamar, which gets the Cowboys in a better position for the postseason tournament.
You're right. That was, like I said, you couldn't, if anything happened good for us on that day, I mean, that was a win as far as a basketball team.
Okay. All right, fans, don't go anywhere. We've got all that for you tonight on another edition of Inside Cowboy Basketball with head coach Dave Simmons. Stay with us.
Head coach Dave Simmons. I'm your host, Ron Hayes. And Coach Simmons and I are going to talk a little bit about what happened Saturday night, Coach, when you go over to Lamar, to Beaumont, for the traditional Lamar Cardinal, McNeese Cowboy rivalry game on Interstate 10. And my goodness, it was
welcome back into more of Inside Cowboy Basketball with head coach Dave Simmons. I'm your host, Ron Hayes, and Coach Simmons and I are going to talk a little bit about what happened
it's always like
Saturday night, Coach, when you go over to Lamar, to Beaumont for the traditional Lamar Cardinal, McNeese Cowboy rivalry game on Interstate 10. My goodness, it was kind of a roller coaster of a ball game. You jump out to a quick lead, they close at the end, and it's a nail biter right down to the wire.
Right, it's always like that 10, but it was a good game that we've been in. I felt like it grew up a lot. Finally, even though when it, as a coach, I was very comfortable with that big lead, but they made a game of it. And they came back, fought back, and we just had to make some plays, in which we hadn't been late in the game making plays to win basketball games. So we had some guys that had some great performances that have been subpar within our last games, but we had some seniors that stepped up and made the difference. But it was just a very important game for both clubs.
Tell me a little bit about Jeremy Mitchell. He re-emerged. You talk about the senior that stepped up. Here's a guy that has not had the senior year. In fact, he admitted as much on the show.
Great performances
that he really wanted to have. But when he got down to the nitty-gritty, he had to have somebody show up and take charge early in the ball game.
It was a very important game for both clubs.
Well, tell me a little bit about Jeremy Mitchell now. He re-emerged. You talk about a senior that stepped up. Here's a guy that has not had the senior year. In fact, he admitted as much on our show when we had him as our guest that he really wanted to have. But when he got down to the nitty-gritty, and you had to have somebody show up and take charge early in the ball game, it was Jeremy and his three-pointer.
The rest of the guys fed off that, and that was one of the big differences in why we had the big lead in the first half.
Did you say anything to him, Coach, before the ball game? Like, Jeremy, we got to have him.
Especially early in the game, because they were hanging all over him. He made some shots
zone, so to speak, early.
We were pleased with that. I think so, but you got to be very careful when guys are the shooters. Sometimes it's more, in Jeremy's deal, it was more mental than anything.
Did you say anything to him, Coach, before the ball game, like, Jeremy, we got to have you, we want you to shoot the ball, that kind of thing, or is it just he just got in that zone, so to speak, early, and you let him go?
But the only thing I ever mentioned to him is this: I said, if I was you, Jeremy, this is taking it from an old coach who played, and I've been in those situations like you have right now. You don't have to tell a guy
keep believing in yourself.
And
I said morning, noon, and night. And what I meant is when I've struggled, no one else can tell you what you got to correct. But the more you put into it, and a lot of times it's repetition. Morning, noon, night. Get in the gym in the morning, noon, and get in there at night. And then you work out your little why you're missing those shots. It's just a confidence factor.
No one else can tell
Nothing was wrong with his shot. You just got to put up more shots and get that confidence back.
And a lot of times it's repetition.
This is a cliche
morning, noon, night. Get in the gym in the morning, noon, get in there at night. Then you work out your why you missing those shots.
They really seriously challenge you for that 8th spot.
Nothing was wrong with the shot. You just got to put up more
shots.
Oh,
no question. I think we both was
Coach,
in the same
was
spot
it,
there.
and this is a
Lamar
cliche in
has a
sport, was it the
5-game
biggest game of the year for McNeese, realizing that you wanted to have a margin over Lamar? You wanted to make sure that they didn't really seriously challenge you for that 8th spot, that tournament seed in the end of the season?
Which we needed to, and then by sweeping them pretty much, if anything ever comes up and where we're tied with Lamar in the 8th spot, we will win because we beat them both twice this year. We swept them. So that was so important. We have the tiebreaker. That was probably the biggest thing. But we need to win more games to try to get up a better standing in the conference, because anywhere from 4 on down is pretty much even. So it's going to be tough no matter who you play once you get into the conference tournament.
Well, you've got the tiebreaker on.
We have trying to get a better standing, and we have some home games left. We got some road games, so our mission is not complete in force our conference standing.
It's going to be tough no matter who you play once you get into the conference tournament. But we're still jockeying for positions, trying to get a better standing, and we have some home games left. Got some road games.
We fought hard, and we're beating them here. I think some of the confidence, but it was time.
And real quick, Coach, you got out to a big lead. You got out to a double-digit lead at one point. I think 16 points over Lamar, and then they come back in the second half, get it down to where you only had a 1-point lead. What are you telling your team at that point in the ball game?
And we've seen Dante took control late in the game, made a great drive to the basket, and got a 3-point play. They showed some senior leadership, and some guys who hadn't been playing, I thought, playing a lot. I thought Keelan Garrett and Brandon Regis came in and gave us some good minutes. And Peter Pond, we had a good contribution, team effort, and that's what it takes.
Okay, fans, that's the Lamar game. We'll talk about upcoming games, and we'll have our student athlete guests next segment right after.
Played in a lot. I thought Keelan Garrett, Brandon Regis came in.
Good.
We had a good contribution.
Team effort. Great.
That's what it takes.
Great. Okay, fans, that's the Lamar game. We'll talk about upcoming games, and we'll have our student athlete guest in the next segment right after this pause.
For our student athlete guest of the week, and this week it's Adrien Fields. Adrian's a junior for the McNeese Cowboys. Adrien, you from Opelousas, Louisiana, huh?
Yes, sir, Opelousas.
So you familiar with good Cajun food, huh?
Oh, yeah, all the time.
Been there all your life, right?
Welcome back into more of Inside Cowboy Basketball. It's time for our student athlete guest of the week. And this week it's Adrien Fields.
My junior year.
Adrian's a junior for the McNeese Cowboys. Adrien, you from Opelousas, Louisiana, huh?
Got to New Orleans.
Almost.
So you familiar with good Cajun food, huh?
Yeah, all the time.
Been there all your life, right? What's your best high school memory, Adrien, playing basketball?
Best high school memory was going deep into the playoffs. The highlight? My junior year. I would say the Lamar game over here when Patrick Richard
almost got to New Orleans, huh?
Yeah, that was crazy.
All right.
Great game.
Survived all that, though. You made it out here to McNeese, and now you're a junior in the McNeese program. What's been a highlight for you personally in the 3 years you played basketball here at McNeese?
He lived like 10 miles away from my house.
You ever run into him?
Yeah, I talked to him a lot.
Yep. I remember that well.
Not in a while.
That was something, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That was exciting. You kind of lived for those moments.
Speaking of Lamar,
You ever have any contact with Patrick since he's graduated and moved on?
Yeah, he's right there down the road from Can Crew. That was good. I mean, we hopped out.
You ever run into him occasionally?
Got an early lead, comfortable lead.
Okay. Y'all play a little pickup game every once in a while?
Game, but not in a while.
Well, you're a little bit busy, right?
Right here at energy second half game.
Speaking of Lamar, we're going to be talking about it with Coach a little bit later on, but y'all had a big game with him last night. How'd that feel for you?
Then you had to dig deep, right?
we came. We got together, played together, got back to playing hard. I should have stayed on.
All right,
the whole
you've been
game,
with the team 3 years. You've been in the glory years and the
fought back,
not so glory years.
Yeah.
You've seen the Cowboys at their finest.
Yeah,
and,
you had a big
less
lead, I
than
think 16 points at one point, and they got back down within one of you. Then you had to dig deep, right?
A couple
Yeah,
of
we
tournaments.
yes, I mean, we got together and played.
Postseason tournaments for
playing hard.
the Cowboys.
My freshman and sophomore
All right,
year.
you've been with the
Both
team
postseason.
3 years. You've been in the glory years and in the not so glory years. You've seen the Cowboys at their finest and less
I mean, it's
than
different.
their finest. Let's put
I'm
it
not
that
used to it
way.
right now.
You go.
We always been
you
at the
played
top.
in
First
a
year we was at the
couple
top,
of
second year was
tournaments,
at the top. This year we scrambling.
postseason tournaments for
I got
the Cowboys.
Does it take more dedication, more
All right, and this year you're really scratching and clawing to get into the tournament. How does that feel
when you
now,
at,
as opposed to
the end
those
of the
early
season,
years?
you gotta. I mean, it's can't lose. I'm not used
It's
to it
almost
right
like you're in
now.
the tournament
Yeah.
right
We
now.
always been at the top.
Yeah.
First year we was at the top. One loss, you out. That's how it is.
You looking forward to the bracket buster game? This is something really.
Does it take more dedication, more concentration to scramble than it does to coast?
Would you prefer it to be either earlier in the season when it's not a distraction from conference, or does it not really?
Yeah. It's almost like you're in the tournament right now.
It's not
Because if you
rather
slip
be
down,
right
you're in
before
trouble.
conference. One loss, because conference is the toughest
You're looking
time
forward to the
focus and
bracket
actually
buster
when you
game.
need
This is something
everybody.
relatively
Somebody
new that
get
you guys
injured
got involved with
in a
last
game
year.
like
Now
that,
here
when
it
you
comes
need for the
again. Is it
tournament.
kind of? Would you
Yeah, I'd
prefer it
rather
to
be
be
before
either
conference.
earlier in
Good.
the season
We
when it's
played
not a
Toledo last
distraction
year,
from
matter of fact,
conference,
in
or
the
does it
CIT
not really
tournament.
make any difference?
Postseason, yeah.
I mean, it don't really
make any difference. I'd rather it be right before going back out there
Okay.
again.
So it's not a real mystery for you.
Nah, we played
It
them.
helps
When
you
you
that
need
you've seen
everybody.
these guys.
Yeah,
play.
somebody make it injured. Yes, sir.
What about playing up there at their
That's
place?
right.
Is that a drawback too?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd rather be before conference. But
Nah, no big deal. I mean, we kind of played sluggish when we went out there last
Yes,
year.
you
We
did.
could have played better.
Sure did.
We had a lot of people injured when we went out there last year.
So it's
Yes,
not a
the game
real
could
mystery
definitely
for
win.
you. I mean,
Well, when you play
it
against
helps
North
you that you've seen these guys
Carolina,
already before, you think.
You're not really scared of a
What about
crowd.
playing up there at their place? Is that a drawback
Not
to you?
at all.
Or
Night like
really no big deal.
15,000 or something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was.
We kind of
It's
played
good.
sluggish
That's
a big
when we went out
strategy
there last
for
year.
them.
We
Yes.
played better.
It was a good experience,
A lot
though.
of people injured when we went out there last year.
Yeah.
What do you feel like? You feel like you were at a basketball museum?
Well, when you play against North Carolina on
Yeah.
national TV, it's,
Oh, yeah.
you're not really
great.
scared of a crowd now anywhere else you play, I would
Oh,
think.
yeah.
Not at all.
Okay, what's
So
your dream
different.
right now? You got
15,000
another
something like that.
Yeah,
couple
a
games
bunch,
this year,
folks.
your senior year at Mac.
That's the biggest crowd you've been in front of, right?
My goal is to get to the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
We done been in
Kinda
an
in
NIT
all.
tournament.
What did it feel like? Feel like you were at a basketball museum when you
and
went in
for
the
the two
Dean Dome?
seniors,
Oh, yeah.
it'd be a dream.
Kind of a dream come true.
Every
Huh?
yeah.
initial tournament.
Okay, what's your
Except
dream right now?
except
You got another
Yes, sir.
couple of games this year and your senior year at McNeese. What's your goal?
Toughest player you
Our
ever
goal
had
is
to
to
play?
get to the NCAA tournament. We done been in an NIT tournament, the
Patrick
CIT
Richard.
tournament last
Every day
year.
in
Never been
practice.
to NCAA.
Yeah,
For the
every
two
day at the
seniors,
garden.
Isn't that the truth?
It's
Yeah.
a dream.
That's kind of a unique.
You've been
gift,
about
though,
every
you have
initial
with-
tournament in the thing except the NCAA and the
Yeah.
SLC tournament too, for that matter, huh? Toughest player you ever had to play against
Yeah, it is. He was real good.
Your best skill on the basketball floor.
Every day in practice.
in practice, I would think.
I would
yeah.
say
Every
shooting.
day at the garden.
Isn't that the
spot-up shooting.
truth?
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of a unique gift, though, when you have what you consider to be the
Yes, that's
toughest
what I
player in
try
the
to work
conference
at,
on
try
your
to
very
focus on
team.
Yeah.
Most of the time.
So anybody else you
practice.
play against is kind of a relief a little bit.
Yeah.
I would
Good luck to you
think.
and the
huh?
Cowboys in the next
Okay,
couple games.
your best skill on a basketball
Yes, sir,
floor,
we
Adrian,
will.
what do you think it is?
I would say shooting,
Okay.
spot-up shooting,
Okay.
and slashing. Goals.
That's what you work at most?
Yeah, that's what I'll try to work at. Try to focus on
Yeah. Okay.
practice.
All right. Good. Well, good luck to you and the Cowboys in the next couple of games, and let's hope you make it to that tournament.
Yes, we will.
All right. Adrien
Dave
Fields,
Simmons,
our
let's talk a
student
little bit
athlete
about
guest of
this
the week,
week's
and we'll be
action.
back with
We got,
more of Inside
really
Cowboy
two games
basketball
coming up.
right after this pause.
First, you'll be back here in Burton Coliseum at home again, and you'll have a resurging Southeastern Lions team coming in. What do you think about their upset of Stephen F. Austin on Saturday night?
Well, you know.
Well, Coach Dave Simmons, let's talk a little bit about this week's action. You got really two games coming up. First, you'll be back here in Burton Coliseum at home again, and you'll have a resurging Southeastern Lions team coming in. What do you think about their upset of Stephen F. Austin on Saturday night?
Northwestern the night before on that Thursday night, but you know they playing well, and it's going to be a tough basketball game. They're sitting right now in the fourth place, and the fourth place team gets a bye.
Pretty attractive slot right now.
Exactly. If you move up in the standings, that's where you want to be. If you're not number one, number two, number three, you want to be number four in this conference right now. But they're got a veteran basketball club. They are led by Brandon Fortenberry, who
That's a pretty attractive slot right now, isn't it, Coach?
I mean, last year he was injured, didn't play, came back. Preseason all-conference pick, very good basketball player. Roosevelt Johnson, they got some good players, so they're going to be tough. We've always had a tough battle with them, whether it's home or whether it's away. They've always been very good when we play.
Coach, did I read a stat right where they
picked very good basketball
like 30
player,
free throws or something?
Roosevelt Johnson. They got some good players, so they're going to be tough. We've always had a tough battle with them.
Well, I looked at the game, and I've always talked about free throws. You know, they've shot that, of course.
Coach, did I read a stat right where they
close basketball game? They
shot like 30 free throws or something in that ball game when they beat Stephen F. Austin? I don't know if you've had time to study the stat sheet
ball
yet.
game, and you look back at that stat as a coach, and that's where you probably lost the basketball game in so many areas. That's one area at least you thought.
But really, I think Southeastern they were like 24 30 from the foul line.
Yeah.
And I said it probably came down to free throws. When you're 8 for 17,
they're just free line. And that's the thing, so that tells you one thing, they get into the line, they're throwing the ball inside, the guards are penetrating, so you've got to be very good defensively.
Really, I think Southeastern hit like 24 or 30 from the foul line, so what you're telling me really is Southeastern outscored Stephen F. Austin by double digits from the free throw line.
Tough game, and not saying that we secured a spot, but it would be a great boost for us to get that game here at home and win that, because it give us another victory, and unfortunately, the more victories you get in this conference right now, it means a lot.
Tough game,
and we're talking about Tuesday night fans.
Not saying that we secured a spot,
and then Saturday night you go up to Toledo. Well, in fact, you probably need
boost for us to get that game.
We'll leave Friday early, Friday morning. We play Toledo in the Bracket Buster game, ESPN Basketball Buster game. I think it's a 2 o'clock game, which is, I believe, it's Central Time.
And we're talking about Tuesday night fans here at Burton Coliseum. And then Saturday night you go up to Toledo. Well, in fact, you probably leave Friday, right? To go to Toledo.
We'll leave Friday early, Friday morning, and we'll play Toledo.
And really hadn't really looked at them, but they've had some young good players on their team last year. So when they heard they was playing Mac Neese and Pat Reshaw and some of those guys were gone, they were elated to have us back up there.
Most of those guys are back, though, Coach. You're familiar with most of those guys?
It's going to be a different game, and it's going to be a break from the conference. Something
that's a good thing, Coach. You want that game in the middle of your conference wars, or would you prefer
when they heard they was playing Mac Neese?
Well, I've always thought it before it, because now you're in the middle of your conference, and it's a long time.
Yeah, well, I can imagine. I can imagine.
It was
the most thing that probably you worry about more than anything, because it takes you out.
Is that a good thing, Coach? You want that game in the middle of your conference wars, or would you prefer it before your conference season?
Now you got to prepare for someone that the game. Not saying it means a win. You win and you're happy and elated as a coach, but it really doesn't mean anything to what we're trying to accomplish as far as in the conference race.
You'd love to get out of there with a win and nobody got into a
exactly. That's the thing.
Okay. All right, Coach. Thanks a bunch, fans. We'll take a pause. We'll be back with more of Inside Cowboy Basketball.
Game, not saying it means a win. You win and you're happy as elated as a coach, but it really doesn't mean anything to what we're trying to accomplish in the conference race.
You'd love to get out of there with a win and nobody hurt.
Exactly.
That's your goal. Okay. All right, Coach, thanks a bunch. Fans, we'll take a pause and be back with more of Inside Cowboy Basketball right after this break.
I want to share with fans a little bit about the Southland Conference standings. Fans, we try and keep you up to date on that because they're changing really every week, sometimes every ball game. Cowboys right now, by virtue of their win over Lamar, you ensure at least 8th place in the tournament. You're pretty much set on that position.
Well, Coach, before we get away tonight, we want to share with the fans a little bit about the Southern Conference standings. Fans, we try and keep you up to date on that because they're changing really every week, sometimes every ball game.
It's a seeding.
Cowboys right now, by virtue of their win over Lamar, you ensure at least 8th place in the tournament. You're pretty much set on that position.
Tournament finals.
But you're looking to achieve a little bit more, go a little bit higher. And why is it so beneficial, other than the obvious that you would finish maybe, say, in 4th place as opposed to 8th place?
1 and 2 get 2 buys. I mean, 3 and 4 get 1 bye. So it's going to take, the higher you get seeded, obviously it enhances your force of rest in a long tournament. So
that's a lot.
Player's advantage.
Yeah, it is.
If you're not very deep,
it's a grinding
at the bottom, it makes a big
1 and
difference.
2 get 2 buys.
Well, and if you 1 and 2, you get a bye to the
semis. So it's going to take the higher
semifinals.
Now, if you're 3 and 4, you get a bye to the quarters.
Correct.
If you're below that, you got to play.
You got to play
4 games in 5 nights, something like
games. Well, and I keep telling them, there's teams have been done it before. You remember, go back to Yukon.
Well, and if you 1 and 2, you get a bye to the semis.
They won the whole. They had to
now,
play
if you're 3 and 4, you get a bye to the quarterfinal
to get into the NCAA.
And if you're below that, you got to play 4 games in 5 nights, something like that.
It's doable. And like I said, in our league, you go back to history.
The only way they could have got to the NCAA
it's been a dangerous
they won their whole. They had to play 5 games
from that standpoint for us. It doesn't matter once you get into where you're seated.
And they
you just got to go and play and have some luck.
It's doable. And
kids,
like I said,
sometimes
in our
jail
league
at that particular time.
And
when you're high seed team, sometimes you're nervous.
It's been a dangerous
first game. The teams have already played 1 or 2 games. You're a little nervous going into that.
It doesn't matter once you get into
that one game because you know it's a one-game season. So we're just trying to get in a better position.
Sometimes
win some basketball games and have some momentum going into
and when you're high,
it looks like the top 3 are
sometimes you're
pretty well
nervous.
secure.
That first game, the teams have already played 1 or 2 games. You're a little nervous going into that one game because you know it's a one-game season. So we're just trying to get in a better position.
No, not really. Those teams have won enough basketball games, not enough.
All right, it looks like the top 3 are pretty well secure. And Stephen F. Austin right now, you've got Oral Roberts, they're looking pretty solid. Northwestern's looking pretty solid as well. Do you see any change in that? Do you foresee any change in that here in the next few weeks?
No, not really. Those teams have won enough basketball games.
Anywhere from there, from 4 on down, I mean, it's still
doable matchup.
It's up for grabs for some teams, and we just got to be in a position if we can win out in our games, and it makes it a lot more interesting for us because that means we beat some of those top level teams.
Anywhere from there,
if you tie with somebody, you get in the tiebreaker, it makes
still up for grabs.
It's up for grabs for some teams, and we just got to be in a position if we can win out.
You're ahead of Lamar, even more so by virtue of the win last Saturday night. And you're ahead of the University of Central Arkansas. And the next one you're looking to grab is Nicholls.
If you tie with somebody,
we're both, and Nicholls has some work to do on the road.
I understand now the Cowboys are ahead of Texas Carpus. Of course, they're out of it.
It's going to be very, very
You're ahead of Lamar, even more so by virtue of the win last Saturday night. And you're ahead of the University of Central Arkansas. And the next one you're looking to grab is Nicholls.
Southeastern's a big step.
And then again, if you win your basketball games, Nicholls has to play Southeastern at the end of the season. That's a big rivalry game, so you never know how that one goes. So it's going to be very interesting, especially from that 4 from down and races. So it's going to be very competitive, and everybody's going to be
Southeastern's a big step next.
Every night,
and again, if you win your basketball games,
the Lamar
game has to play Southeastern at the
throughout
end
the
of the
season.
That's a big rivalry.
It was a championship basketball game for both clubs last night.
It's going to be very interesting
right now. Your championship is to get into the tournament. So we took that approach.
So it's going to be very competitive, and everybody's going to give you their best shot that night. Every night to me.
All right, Coach. Thank you so much, fans. We'll be back next week to talk more about the Cowboys' championship in the coming week with Southeastern and the bracket buster. Come back with us and join Coach Dave Simmons.
So
we'll talk about it next week. More of Inside Cowboy.
I wish I would go just to get a higher seed.
All right, Coach. Thank you so much. And fans, we'll be back next week to talk more about the Cowboys' fortune in the coming week when Southeastern and the bracket buster. Come back with us and join Coach Dave Simmons and me. We'll talk about it next week on more of Inside Cowboy Basketball.